Good evening. Thank you for joining the Fort Worth ISD Council of PTAs Forum for District 2. Running for this seat are Pat Carlson and Tobi Jackson. And our moderator for the evening is a star student from OD Wyatt High School in Fort Worth ISD. Javia recently traveled to Austin with PTA for Rally Day with many other Fort Worth ISD students and is excited about engaging more in advocacy. My name is Tiffany Rogers, and I serve as the Vice President of the Fort Worth ISD Council of PTAs. The mission of PTA is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Part of how we make every child's potential a reality is empowering families to be informed voters. This forum will be recorded and available for viewing between now and voting day on our website, www.FWISDPTA.org. We are thankful that our candidates have joined us this evening to help us get to know them. PTA is nonpartisan. We support or oppose issues, not candidates. So in that spirit, let me go over a few guidelines for the evening. Candidates, please focus your answers on your plans, helping our viewers to get to know you, and refraining from referencing the past or your opponent. You may interact with our moderator, but may not interact directly with each other. You will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to introduce yourselves, 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond to each question, and 1 minute and 30 seconds for closing remarks. There will be a timer that replaces my face in my Zoom screen for your reference, and it will count down. As it gets to 30 seconds, you'll hear a bell, and then as it ends, you'll hear another bell, and our moderator will interrupt with a thank you, and you'll be muted after that. For opening statements, we will go in alphabetical order by last name. We'll do closing statements in the opposite order. And then for our questions, we will do the same. We'll go alternate in alphabetical order by last name. I am going to need a minute here to get our timer started, but I am going to turn you over to our moderator, Miss Javia Lane, and she's going to get all situated to ask you some questions. Again, thank you for joining us, and here we go.
Hello, I'm Javia. I'll be tonight's moderator. We will start with Miss Tobi Jackson with question 1, and that is, what is the biggest challenge facing Fort Worth ISD? How would you solve this challenge? How would you engage and get buy-in from the Fort Worth ISD stakeholders?
Let me get
Miss Tobi Jackson, your voice is still muted.
I'm hearing an extreme echo. Can you hear that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And we're not opening with our opening statement. We're opening with this question.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's tell her, say sorry. No, tell her that we're gonna
I'm sorry for that. We're gonna go back to opening statements and we're gonna let Miss Pat Carlson go first.
Okay. Thank you, Javia. And no worries.
You're welcome.
Can you see me?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I don't, is there a place where I can hit that? I've had a problem getting online, I'm sorry.
There should be a request to see if it'll let you start.
Request. Closed captioning, who can see this transcript? Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. Start video. Now is that okay? Now can you see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm Pat Carlson. I am a product of the Fort Worth ISD, as is my husband. born and raised in Fort Worth, as was my husband. We have a business in Fort Worth, Carlson Engineering. We've started 2 successful businesses from nothing. I have made a payroll in the past, done the book work, been very active there. I got involved with this. I was actually asked to run, not really thinking about it, but then when I saw the condition of the school district, I decided to go ahead and make a run, because this is not the same district that I graduated from many years ago. It's we're failing our students, and as a taxpayer, I want to make a difference. 90% of the children in the United States are educated in the public school, and so we have to pay attention to our public schools. My own children were educated in the public school. It was not in Grapevine. It was not in the Fort Worth ISD. It was in Grapevine, Colleyville. It's counting down on me. Sorry, the screen is just distracting. If I'm elected, I will be an advocate for parents. And I'm very, very interested in this, and I'll stop at that.
And we're going to turn over the opening statements to Ms. Tobi Jackson. You're still muted.
How about that? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my video stopped for some reason. That's okay. I'm using my cell phone. I want to thank you, and thank you, Javia, for going down to Austin. I want to thank you as well for moderating tonight. I have a BA from the University of Texas at Arlington, a master's from the University of North Texas. My background is in public, proprietary, private, and charter education, as well as in business, where I worked in pharmaceutical and biotech. I currently serve on the state board of Every Texan. And so I spend a bit of time in Austin working with the legislature. Locally, I'm on the Medical City Fort Worth board. I have a love of healthcare. I work with Unbound, who works with human trafficking. I work on the Shaken Baby Alliance. I'm on the board of the Art of Living, where I serve as vice president. I also am on the board of Tarrant County Cultural Facilities and Finance Corporation. You know me. I've been here. As a matter of fact, I have 100% attendance at all board meetings during my tenure. I and my daughters are graduates of Fort Worth ISD. As board president from 17 to 19, and again from 2021 to 2023, I was lead on separation from superintendent, hiring a superintendent, realignment of the pyramids, redistricting, which is a 10-year federal requirement, which I'm proud to say was led by citizens and had one trustee requested change, which I voted against. We also lost trustee Daphne Brookins to COVID, and another trustee resigned, so it left us to host 2 unexpected elections. We also came in ahead of schedule and under budget on our bond of 2017, and finally we made it through COVID and have collaboratively worked to deliver education to all youth in all areas of the 209 square miles that is Fort Worth ISD. I encourage each of you, if you have seen our reconstructed schools, to tell others, and if you haven't, please let me tour you through. And thank you.
Okay, we'll begin with the questions. I'll start with question 1, and first we'll be going Ms. Tobi Jackson. The first question is, what is the biggest challenge facing Fort Worth ISD? How would you solve this challenge? And how would you engage and get buy-in from the Fort Worth ISD stakeholders? Are you able to see the timer?
Okay, I think I've unmuted myself now. The biggest challenge facing Fort Worth ISD right now is academic performance, and that is twofold. One is Austin continues to change the goalposts on students. And the second is we have to do a better job post-COVID of lifting students. We have to help the community and stakeholders understand that we're in a new and constantly changing state accountability system. We have to teach and deliver instructional, the instructional delivery has changed so much, and educators have to be mentors They have to provide basic needs. Instructors have to provide sometimes out of school time supports. And this job is just not for the weak, nor is healthcare. And both right now are seeing exodus of people walking out of the profession. So right now we need to work on looking at our healthcare within Fort Worth ISD, moving from the teacher retirement system over to an entity that will deliver better healthcare for our employees, that will allow them to want to stay in education. We need to look at flex time, job share. We need to think outside the box, because the most important element in a child's future is that teacher. Every employee is important, but teachers are most important. So we need to look at ways to better support our teachers, which will then better support our students. And so the biggest challenge that I see right now is stability of the educational framework and keeping our students educated by tenured professionals that love and care about them. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to Ms. Carlson. Same question. What is the biggest challenge facing Fort Worth ISD? How would you solve this challenge? And how would you engage and get buy-in from Fort Worth ISD stakeholders?
Okay, well, I think my answer is much simpler than that. I believe that Fort Worth ISD is failing their students when 12% of eighth graders can't read at grade level proficiency, and 16% of fourth graders can't read at grade level proficiency. When 13% of the graduates last year were not ready for the job market, college, or the military, we're failing our students. So I think the biggest challenge we have is to come back to teaching basic academics and get away from some of these other crazy programs that are going on. We need to, if the district will get back to teaching academics, reading, writing, arithmetic, math, biology, arithmetic and math are both the same, biology, science, history, and the district becomes transparent to parents, to the becomes transparent, tries to give the teachers the resources they need in the classroom. Districts should listen to the teachers. If there's certain problems in different classes, they need to listen. They need to listen to parents. And I believe if the district comes back to those basic fundamental facts, the district will become much more productive, and it will re-engage. You're going to call them stakeholders. I call them taxpayers or parents. So that's how I would begin.
Thank you. We'll be moving on to question 2 now. We'll be starting with Ms. Carlson. What is your position regarding self-esteem, self-worth, and social emotional health educational programs? Okay,
First of all, I believe that this is a realm that the school district doesn't have any business going there. You're assuming that all students have got a self-esteem, emotional, self-worth problem, and you're trying to treat across the board for an illness that supposedly everybody has got. And I'm sorry, I've got a call coming in. I totally disagree with that. First of all, how do you know who determines how much self-esteem is enough? How much is too much self-esteem? And if you have a child that you believe does not have enough self-esteem, who's going to remediate that child? And getting into the emotional part, I just think it opens the door for the district to start asking questions that are related to that child's home. And that's not the school district's business. Now, let's assume that a teacher sees a child that definitely does have a problem. You start with that teacher trying to make contact with the parent, talking to that parent about what's going on. And if the problem seems to need to have further help, then you maybe bring in a counselor. But to try to treat across the board all students for self-esteem, I believe is wrong.
thank you. And same question for Ms. Jackson. What is your position regarding self-esteem, self-worth, and social emotional health educational programs?
Yes, thank you so much for this very important question. Every student in a school has a seat. They have food. They have a clean restroom, along with the supplies that are needed. When they go home, that's not always the case. So imagine changing schools 4 times per year, losing 4 to 6 months of your learning, your academic learning each time you move. We have to assist students in meeting their basic needs. And we do this by assessing them, by meeting with their parents, by engaging the team that will help students understand what they can receive from the school district, where they can receive help. And if they don't need help, then we back away. But many times students are in a situation where they don't know that they need help. And many times their parents are not in a position to give help. And we have to make sure that we are providing programming that lifts students' self-worth. And we also have to make sure that more than anything, our students know that we care about them and that every day they come to school, they are in a safe environment. And so more than a social emotional program, it's more of a campus that is a welcoming and loving campus. And I think we do a great job of that in Fort Worth ISD.
I'll interrupt you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick interruption and let Marisol Herrera tell us, give us a statement in Spanish. We want to make sure that all of our Spanish speaking audience knows where to go to find this video with Spanish captions. And I'm sorry that I got busy with the technical difficulties. So thank you, Marisol, for being here. And I'll turn it over to her for a quick announcement.
No problem. Thank you, Tiffany. Bienvenidos y gracias por acompañarnos. Para todos nuestros televidentes de habla hispana, este foro estará disponible con subtítulos y audio en español próximamente en nuestro sitio web www.fwisdpta.org. Gracias.
Okay, we'll proceed with the next question, starting with Ms. Jackson. How would you help schools enhance parent engagement and create a supportive and collaborative school environment that would benefit the academic achievement and well-being of students? You're still muted, Ms. Jackson.
I appreciate this question and the instant replay I just got. Parents have to partner and be advocates for their children, and we have to provide a welcome and inviting environment. About 4 or 5 years ago, we passed a resolution to let everyone know, no matter what your citizenship is, no matter who you are, if you're a parent, you're welcome in our schools. And many times parents are fearful of coming into the school if they have a traffic warrant or if perhaps they don't have citizenship. And so what we've done is made sure that everybody knows what the law is, that they're welcome in our schools. We made sure that everyone knows that we have safe spaces. And so this is important that all feel welcome on campuses. And it's also important that parents feel that they can come on campuses when they want, know the educators that are working with their kids. And we currently have LaDania Tomlinson's program for leadership on our campuses that also engages parents. The rewards program engages parents on the weekends. All Pro Dads, Girls Inc., Early Childhood 0 to 3, where we engage parents. We know that many kids come to school with lacking as many as 40,000 words. So 0 to 3 education is so important. We have the PTA, which has engaged us this evening. So it's important to engage all parents. And the most important thing you can do also is have events on the weekends and at night, and make sure that you know when parents that work 2 and 3 jobs are available, because everybody's not available at the same time. That's why you have to be accommodating. Thank you for the question.
You're welcome, and thank you for your response. Same question for Ms. Carlson. How would you help schools enhance parent engagement in a creative, a supportive, and collaborative school environment that would benefit the academic achievement and well-being of students?
Well, I agreed with part of what Ms. Jackson said. I do think that we need to have events at schools for parents and just blow up the social network, making announcements about there are certain events at nights, have some snacks there, be sure the teachers are there, the parents come in, the students come in. This gives the students an opportunity, the parents an opportunity to meet teachers, maybe have a conversation where that teacher can engage that parent on some issue. But I just think there's so many ways, especially I was not aware of how big social media was. My children, or even my grandchildren, are in college. They're not teenagers any longer, but social, you could just blow up the social media network of trying to get the news out about events. But I think that's the main thing, is to have things at the school where you engage parents, students, and teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to question 4. We're going to start with Ms. Carlson. As a school board member, how would you respond to the efforts of special interest groups who advocate for the censorship of existing curriculum while working with your fellow board members to create a cohesive vision for the district?
Okay, I have to wonder when the term special interest is used. Is that referring to parents? I think parents need to be listened to, and they need to be able to see the curriculum. I have to question if the teachers are actually have curriculum where they're teaching phonics, because if children are being taught phonics, they ought to know how to read. And, the education code says parents are partners with educators, administrators, and school district boards of trustees in their children's education. Parents shall be encouraged to actively participate in creating and implementing educational programs for their children. So just because you raise an issue about a curriculum, I don't call that censorship. I call that raising a complaint. And I think the board needs to listen to parents more, make curriculum more available where they can be seen, be transparent. And as far as the part about this cohesive vision for the district, if I'm elected as a board member, I'm going to be an elected official. I'm going to be an advocate for parents, and I'm going to vote for the constituents that I would represent. Being cohesive, the board is not there to draw a consensus, they're there to vote.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Jackson. As a school board member, how would you respond to the efforts of special interest groups who advocate for the censorship of existing curriculum while working with your fellow board members to create a cohesive vision for the district?
Well, thank you for the question. And this is a national challenge that all public schools are dealing with right now. And local politics, city council in Fort Worth, Texas, and the school board are nonpartisan. There is no party with them. And there's a reason for that. Local elected officials have a great amount of power to help the community and build the community. And so the first thing that we need to do as local elected officials is we first listen to everybody, no matter their party affiliation. The second thing we do is repeat what we heard and make sure that we have a consensus of what we heard, to make sure that we're delivering the information appropriately to the group of people within our team that are going to research what is being proposed. Third thing we do is we discuss and determine if the efforts of the special interest group, or just let's say the group, are in the best interest of our very special students, because that's who's special here. Not a special interest group, not adults, but students. And we're here to serve students as nonpartisan elected officials. When partisan politics become involved, one group loses. And guess which one? Students, and they lose big time. We're working on a $1.2 billion bond. We're closing down a $750 million bond and working on an $850 million budget that we're trimming down to a balanced budget and departing from a deficit budget. We have to stay on course and respectfully investigate any suggestions made. However, if the benefit is not to students, then we have to move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question 5, we're going to start with Ms. Jackson. Do you believe the city of Fort Worth has an influence in improving the quality of education of our students? And how would you engage the city of Fort Worth to invest in our schools?
Absolutely. The city of Fort Worth has always been invested in our schools. The city of Fort Worth is 349 square miles. The school district is 209 square miles. The county is 903 square miles. Within the county, there are 19 school districts. And we are one of 13, I believe, in the city, but we're the largest. And so we partner with city council frequently on reading events and going into the schools, cleanup days, Saturday events, and Mayor Pro Tem Bivens and I work together frequently on events in East Fort Worth. And it's very important to engage the city. What else is important for us to know? That it's not only education that brings business to the city, but it is the lack of crime. It is transportation and public transportation. And it is hotels, restaurants, the cost of living, and the cost of purchasing a home. So there are many other factors besides education. However, education is a huge component of attracting large businesses to the city. And so it's very important that we work with the council, most importantly, letting them know how well we're doing. Is that bell for me? Is that my bell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Carlson. Do you believe the city of Fort Worth has an influence in improving the quality of education for our students? And how would you engage the city of Fort Worth to invest in our schools?
Yeah, I believe the time limit wasn't observed a little bit ago for Ms. Jackson. I believe that they do. The city of Fort Worth and the Fort Worth ISD are two different entities, and they need to stay on in their own lane. But when there is an area where they can come together, I think they need to come together. And I think coming together in keeping the roads around schools, the sidewalks safe, maybe providing police officers around schools. And certainly there can be city activities or school activities that include both the city of Fort Worth. But I do think that they're two separate entities, and I think you just need to engage where they intersect. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question 6, we're going to start with Ms. Carlson. How do you see Fort Worth ISD responding to the competition of charter schools and private schools?
Okay. I think I took off the mute. First of all, I think there are some problems with charter schools. In fact, in the fact that there's not an elected officials to be accountable to charter schools. But I'm going to deal with the question where it talks about responding to the competition of charter schools and private schools. I think that parents deserve an option if the public schools are failing them. And I think Fort Worth ISD should look at charter schools and public schools as what are they doing right? Look at the ones who are being very successful. Look at the things that they're doing, the curriculum. What are the teachers doing? It's not all about money. That's part of it, but that's not the most important part. It's the curriculum, the teaching, the expectations of students. So I would look to the very successful public and charter schools and private schools, and look at what they're doing right and try to implement them in the Fort Worth ISD. The competition breeds excellence. It raises the standard, and the expectation of students will be raised. So that's how I would deal with the competition.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Jackson. How do you see Fort Worth ISD responding to the competition of charter schools and private schools?
Well, first, capitalism and competition make everybody better. Just like having a qualified and able candidate makes a candidate in a political race stronger. House Bill 1882 is what Fort Worth ISD put in play, the first in the state with Texas Wesleyan University. We built a partnership, and we have multiple schools now that are charters in the Wesleyan Fort Worth ISD partnership, and they are all A or B rated. So we have a very strong understanding of what works and what doesn't work in a charter partnership. This is a national phenomenon, and charters are coming in. You know, public education is the last bastion of public money. And so many hedge funds and other entities are very interested in bringing charters in, and it is about money for them. It's not unique just to Fort Worth ISD. Every charter in Fort Worth is rated equally or less than a Fort Worth ISD school. Fort Worth ISD, yet we educate every student. We provide athletics, transportation, and more opportunities in career and technical education than any charter in the area. And our reconstructed secondary spaces are indeed unsurpassed. And again, I would say if you have not seen them, let's go tour them.
Thank you. Now for question 7, we're going to start with Ms. Jackson. How will you approach the great disparity of academic achievement and opportunity between students of different races in Fort Worth ISD?
We hired Dr. Ramsey to singularly focus on improving academic outcomes for all students. And as a team of 10, we're working through data to ensure our goal progress measures are set to ensure student groups receive exceptional education outcomes. That's how Dr. Ramsey will be evaluated and held accountable, is on our student success. And that's every student, all students. This is how you deliver success for Fort Worth and our youth. Our administration has been working diligently this spring on a framework for providing a tiered support model to all schools. In order to affect change aligned to our moral imperative, we must educate students and meet them where they are and provide tailored supports to our schools who serve them. One promising change is the delivery of data every 6 weeks instead of that semester, allowing for immediacy in pivot points to ensure success for all. Looking at the data by race, by gender, by age, by socioeconomic stat, and looking at the demographics and making sure we're addressing all student needs all of the time. And it's a big, tall order, but it's one we're up for. And I especially believe Dr. Ramsey's up for it, and I'm excited about her new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Carlson. How will you approach the great disparity of academic achievement and opportunity between students of different races in Fort Worth ISD?
Well, first of all, I would disagree with the assumption that this question begins with. It, in my mind, it makes the assumption that based on a child's race, skin color, whatever, that they somehow are not able to learn as other children, that there's somehow a disparity there. And that, I believe that's a racist assumption right there. I believe all children, if presented with the opportunity to learn, have the ability to learn. And to think that because of your skin color or even your socioeconomic circumstance, you need to have a tiered system. I disagree with that. I believe if you're truly teaching academics, children will learn. Give them an equal opportunity to learn. Don't try to do it in tiers. I believe that's wrong. And so that's my answer to that.
Thank you. We're going to proceed with question 8. We're going to start with Ms. Carlson. The STAR test is a state requirement that tends to drive instruction and results in other problematic impacts on teachers and students. How should the district allocate resources to manage these impacts while ensuring student success?
Okay. This is dealing with the STAR. I missed the first part of the question. Is this the question about STAR? Yeah, please, if you would, please.
Yes, ma'am. The STAR test is a state requirement that tends to drive instruction and results in other problematic impacts on teachers and students. How should the district allocate resources to manage these impacts while ensuring student success?
Okay. And I'm going to say right up front, I'm not completely up to speed on the STAR program. I know last night at the board meeting, they were making a presentation on the STAR system, and I know it's a state program. I've been told that it's possible for different schools to opt out of the STAR program. And so it seems to me, again, if you're teaching, really, truly teaching academics, you ought to be able to meet any standard the state sets. So I acknowledge that I am not up to exactly what this is all about, so I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Jackson. The STAR test is a state requirement that tends to drive instruction and results in other problematic impacts on teachers and students. How should the district allocate resources to manage these impacts while ensuring student success?
Thank you. You know, employees are 90% of our budget, and each are important in delivering our student outcomes, even on the STAR test, which is one day in a student's life. The bus driver who greets every morning and encourages every afternoon. The cafeteria worker that smiles and gives a kid ice cream when kid doesn't have money for it. The custodian, and then we have our teachers. Each teacher is the most important resource for improving outcomes for our students. The board has to support our teachers as tenured teachers build community. Great teachers who deliver within our community know our community. They know the social mores in our community. They know where the opportunity gaps are and are not. The leaders within the community, they know all of them. And most importantly, they know how to deliver the confidence in our students to push to and reach new academic highs. We do not teach to a test. We teach critical thinking skills. And one big component of this is exposure to words, giving context. So Saturday school is a great investment. Investing in our teachers and giving them more accoutrements than other competing districts is important. Strong after school and summer programming is key as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank both of you. We're now going to continue with closing statements, and we'll start with Ms. Jackson.
It's been my pleasure and my honor to serve this district for over a decade. I'm a graduate. My daughters are graduates. I live a block and a half from Eastern Hills High School. I am in a Fort Worth ISD school almost every day. And what I know is right now we have a brand new superintendent and we have a board with only 2 tenured trustees that have been there more than one term. So I elected to run again for one reason, and that is to help the new superintendent, align the board. I will not seek another term as president. And also to move this $1.2 billion bond. During my leadership, we've been able to deliver over 50% of the money for the 2017 and the 2021 bond east of 35. Meadowbrook Middle School and William James within District 2 are going to be part of the reconstruction. We have a brand new elementary school coming in at Eastern Hills Elementary. These are important and they require a steady hand. And that's why I have over 24 elected officials endorsing me, as well as the United Educators Association and multiple other people that have endorsed me and donated to my campaign. I have a high number of people that have donated to my campaign from within my district as well. So I have good support and I'm honored to serve again. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Ms. Carlson.
Okay, again, Polytechnic is in this district. I graduated from there. I have the endorsement of a former principal of Eastern Hills, Mr. Chad McCarty. I believe our district is failing the students. This district has, I also believe, has not been a wise steward of taxpayer money. They have an $80 million deficit, but they have money to build a new administration building on Camp Bowie. I just believe that I would be a board member that would be an advocate for parents, a very good steward with money. I'm going to be more careful with the taxpayers' money than I ever would my own money. I hope that you'll support me. I have business experience. I've raised 3 children who are an engineer, a lawyer, and a physician's assistant, and I've got 3 grandchildren in college, and they're all good, conservative, Christian kids. I would appreciate your support. I think I would bring a lot to the board, and I do think we need new leadership at this board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I want to thank Javia for her moderation. She's done a great job stepping in. As a student at this age, I could never have done what she's done. Would also like to thank you as our candidates for helping our community get to know you. I just want to give a couple of announcements. As a reminder, this forum is recorded and is available for viewing on our website, www.fwisdpta.org, between now and voting day. And we will be publishing steps on how to enable the Spanish captions as well. We will also host a candidate reception. It's an informal meet and greet on Friday, April 21st for all candidates. So you can come and ask your questions in person if you didn't hear something that you wanted to tonight. And that will be at Lola's, located at the intersection of Berry and Cleburne. Early voting begins April 24th and goes through Tuesday, May 2nd. And voting day is May 6th. So thank you again to our candidates, our moderator, and to you, our viewers. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And please join us at 7 for District 3.